Welcome to TechCast by Raqmedia.com, your quick stop for the latest tech news, smart hacks, and cutting-edge updates. Stay informed, stay ahead. Let's dive in.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Raqmedia TechCast, your one daily stop for all the latest tech news and trends.
Always excited to be back.
Today, we're going on a deep dive to decode something that I know can be super confusing for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Those letters that always come after Intel processor names.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm talking about the i7 Wellstel 700K or the i5 13400F, you know.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
All those little letters, they can be intimidating.
They really can. And you know what's funny is I feel like when I first started getting into tech, I kind of just ignored them.
Right.
You just focus on the i5, i7 part.
Exactly. Yeah, just tell me, like, is it good or is it better?
Yeah, exactly.
But what's fascinating is that they're not just random. They actually tell a story about the processor's capabilities, its target user, even a bit about Intel's strategy over time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a little secret language that Intel has developed.
Okay, so it's like a secret code that once you crack it, suddenly makes choosing a laptop or CPU way less intimidating. Think of it this way. You wouldn't buy a car without knowing if it's a zippy little city runabout or a heavy-duty truck, right?
Right.
These letters are like those quick descriptors for processors.
That makes total sense. So before we go full alphabet soup, let's break down the basics. What are we even looking at when we see those model numbers?
Good point. Got to start with the foundation. You'll usually see something like i5 or i7, which basically tells you the processor's family or tier, like good, better, best.
Okay.
Then there's a number, usually 4 or 5 digits, where the first one often tells you the generation higher number means newer tech.
So just glancing at it, I can already tell if it's a 12th gen or a 13th gen i7.
Exactly.
Pretty handy.
Exactly, but the real fun starts with those letters tacked on at the end after the generation and specific model number.
Okay.
That's where the hidden talents get revealed.
I am ready to unlock these secrets.
Okay.
Let's start with one that always catches my eye, the letter K. It sounds powerful, right?
It absolutely is. K is like the VIP pass for gamers, and anyone who loves pushing their hardware to the limit, it means the processor is unlocked. So you can overclock it.
Overclocking, that's where you make the processor run faster than it's supposed to, right? Isn't that risky?
It can be if you're not careful, but that's why Intel designates certain processors with the K. So enthusiasts, NOWA, they're designed for it. It reflects how PC building and tweaking have become huge EE, so Intel is meeting that demand.
So it's not just about the raw power, but giving users that control and flexibility.
That's the key. K signifies both performance potential and Intel, acknowledging this DIY culture that's grown around their products.
That's super interesting. So K is all about pushing the limits. What about the opposite end of the spectrum, say, if someone's prioritizing battery life over pure processing muscle?
Then we got to talk about the letter U, think ultra low power, which is music to the ears of anyone who's constantly on the move with their laptop.
So U processors are the marathon runners of the processor world, designed for endurance.
Precisely. You'll often find them in those sleek, ultra-portable laptops where every ounce of battery life is precious.
Right.
They sip power so you can work or binge watch for longer. Now, of course, there's a trade-off. They're not going to be the top performers for really demanding tasks. But that's a conscious choice Intel's made to cater to specific needs.
Makes sense. It's about choosing the right tool for the job.
Absolutely.
But what about those of us who want a bit of both worlds? Like good performance, but still decent battery life?
Then the H series is your friend H, stands for high performance graphics, and it strikes a balance between power and efficiency.
So this is where things start to get really interesting. It's not just about raw power or low power consumption. It's about finding that sweet spot.
Exactly. Intel recognizes that not everyone needs a processor that's either a speed demon or a power sipper.
Right.
The H series allows for strong performance, especially for things like video editing or even light gaming, without sacrificing too much on the battery front. You'll see these in a lot of those impressive thin and light laptops that still pack a punch.
So if U is for ultra portability and H is for performance on the go, where does the Y suffix fit in?
Y is all about extreme efficiency. Think of it as the Zen master of the processor world.
Okay.
It's for devices where battery life reigns supreme, even if it means sacrificing a bit of performance.
So we're talking about tablets, super thin laptops, maybe even some of those experimental, always connected devices.
You got it. Why processors are all about sipping power, running silently, and lasting for ages. They're not meant for heavy lifting, but they excel in those hyperportable scenarios.
It's amazing how Intel has a processor for every possible need, from power-hungry workstations to ultra-portable tablets.
It's all about understanding the language once you know what to look for. You can decode those cryptic codes and choose the perfect processor for your needs. For a complete breakdown, head over to Raqmedia.com.
Okay.
We have an entire article that goes into every single letter in detail.
That's a great reminder. Speaking of letters, there's one that always makes me think of serious business. The X suffix, does that stand for extreme by any chance?
You nailed it. X is like the penthouse suite of Intel's processor lineup. These are their top-tier, no-compromise chips built for the most demanding tasks imaginable.
So we're talking professional video editing, 3D rendering, scientific simulations, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. If you need raw processing power, regardless of the cost. X processors are the answer. They're built for users who demand the absolute best, and they're willing to pay for it.
So if K is for enthusiasts who want to push their systems to the limit, X is for professionals who need every ounce of performance they can get.
That's a great way to put it. They're in a league of their own, and they come with a price tag to match. But for those who need that level of power, they're worth every penny.
It sounds like these X processors are like the supercars of the computing world.
Yeah.
But there must be some trade-offs, right? Like power consumption and heat.
You're sharp. These processors do consume more power than their mainstream counterparts, so you need a seriously robust cooling solution to keep things stable.
It's like a high-performance engine. You get incredible power, but you also need to keep it cool.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the trade-offs and choosing the processor that best fits your needs and your budget.
This is really fascinating stuff. I'm starting to see these letters in a whole new light. They're not just random gibberish. They actually tell a story about the processor's capabilities and its intended use.
That's the key takeaway here. By taking the time to understand the language of technology, you can make more informed decisions and get the most out of your devices.
Couldn't agree more. Now, I know we have a lot more letters to decode, but before we dive back in, I want to remind our listeners to visit Raqmedia.com for the full article that inspired this deep dive. You'll find a complete breakdown of all the letter meanings, along with tons of other great tech content.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Raqmedia TechCast on Spotify so you never miss an episode of our deep dives into the fascinating world of tech.
Great reminder. Now let's get back to those letter meanings we've covered, K, U, H, Y, and X.
Right.
What about the S suffix? What's the story behind that one?
S is all about subtlety. It stands for power optimized, which means Intel has intentionally tuned these processors to run a bit cooler and use less energy.
So it's like a slightly toned down version of the original processor. But why would you want a processor that's intentionally slower?
Great question. Think of it like this. Sometimes it's not about having the absolute fastest processor, but about finding the right balance for a specific system. S processors shine in situations where power consumption and heat are critical concerns.
So we're talking about compact PCs, maybe systems that need to run silently, or devices where energy efficiency is paramount.
Exactly. By reducing the processor's power draw, Intel can make it suitable for situations where a full power chip would be overkill or even detrimental. It's like choosing the right engine for your car. You wouldn't put a high-performance racing engine in a compact city car, would you?
Definitely not. It's all about finding the right fit for the job.
That's the beauty of Intel's diverse lineup. They recognize that one size doesn't fit all, and they've created processors to meet a wide range of needs and use cases.
This is really eye-opening. It's amazing how much thought and engineering goes into optimizing these processors for different scenarios.
It's a testament to Intel's commitment to innovation and their deep understanding of what their customers need.
Well said. Now, I know we've already covered a lot of ground, but I'm curious about the T suffix. I don't see it as often as some of the others, but I'm intrigued.
T processors are like the S processors' close cousins.
Yeah.
They're also power optimized, but they're specifically designed for desktop systems.
So it's like Intel took the concept of power optimization from laptops and applied it to desktops.
Exactly. They recognize that even in the desktop world, there's a growing demand for energy-efficient and quiet systems.
Makes sense, especially with the rising popularity of small form factor PCs and home theater systems.
You gotta ski. T processors allow for powerful desktops that don't guzzle energy or sound like jet engines. They're a great option for users who prioritize silence and efficiency.
This deep dive has been an absolute revelation. I'm starting to see those letter suffixes in a whole new light.
That's the power of knowledge. By taking the time to learn the language of processors, you can make more informed decisions and get the most out of your technology.
I couldn't agree more now. Before we move on to even more letter meanings, I want to give our listeners a quick challenge. Head over to Raqmedia.com and see if you can find an Intel processor with the C suffix once you find it. Try to figure out what it means before we reveal the answer in the next part of our deep dive.
It's a fun way to test your knowledge and see if you've been paying attention.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep exploring the fascinating world of Intel processors.
Sounds good. Welcome back to the Raqmedia TechCast. Did you do your homework, find a processor with that mysterious C suffix?
I hope our listeners did, because I sure did. And let me tell you, it's not as common as some of the others we've discussed.
That's because C processors are designed for a specific niche. They're all about enhanced security. They often come packed with technologies like Intel View Pro, which gives you hardware-level protection and remote management capabilities.
So these are the processors for businesses, or anyone who handles super-sensitive data needs that extra layer of protection.
Precisely. Think mission-critical applications where stability and security are paramount.
Wow, it's amazing how Intel has really thought of everything from power-hungry gamers to security-conscious businesses. They seem to have a processor for every possible scenario.
It's a testament to how deeply they understand the diverse needs of their customers. Speaking of specialized processors, did you stumble upon any with the E suffix while you were exploring?
You know what I didn't? It definitely seems like one of the less common ones. What's the story there?
E stands for embedded. And these processors are the unsung heroes powering a lot of the technology we take for granted. They're designed for industrial applications, embedded systems, and even the Internet of Things.
Hold on, embedded systems, that sounds pretty techy. What exactly are we talking about here?
Think of all those smart devices that are becoming increasingly common. Smart appliances, factory robots, even those sensors that track your fitness. Those all rely on processors, but they don't need the same kind of horsepower you'd find in a gaming PC.
So E processors are like the brains behind the scenes, quietly making all this smart technology work.
Exactly. They're optimized for reliability, low power consumption, and the ability to operate in more extreme environments. A traditional desktop processor would probably melt down trying to do those jobs.
It's fascinating to think that there are all these specialized processors out there working tirelessly behind the scenes.
It really highlights how processors are the foundation of so much of our modern world.
Absolutely. Now, before we move on to even more letter meanings, I want to remind our listeners that we have a ton of other great tech content over at Raqmedia.com. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Intel processors, you'll love the articles, reviews, and tutorials we have on everything from smartphones to artificial intelligence.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Raqmedia TechCast on Spotify so you never miss an episode of our deep dives into the fascinating world of tech.
Great reminder. Okay, let's continue our journey through the alphabet soup of Intel processors we've talked about, K, U, H, Y, X, S, T, C, and E. What about the G suffix? Does that stand for graphics by any chance?
You're on fire today. G does indeed stand for graphics, and it indicates that the processor has integrated graphics.
Integrated graphics. We touched on that briefly when we discussed the F suffix, which means the processor doesn't have integrated graphics.
Exactly. G processors have a built-in graphics processing unit, or GPU, which allows them to handle basic visual tasks without needing a separate graphics card.
So for everyday tasks like browsing the web, watching videos, or even light photo editing, a G processor is more than capable.
Precisely. It's a cost-effective solution for users who don't need the horsepower of a dedicated graphics card.
It's all about finding the right balance between performance and budget.
That's the beauty of Intel's approach. They offer a wide range of processors, each tailored to specific needs and use cases.
Now there's one last letter that I'm curious about, the mysterious F suffix. What does it stand for, and why is it so important, especially for people building their own PCs?
You saved the best for last. F might seem innocuous, but it's actually a game changer. Especially for PC builders, it signifies that the processor doesn't have integrated graphics.
Okay, so no built-in GPU.
Yeah.
But why is that such a big deal?
Here's why. For serious gamers or anyone working with graphics-intensive applications, integrated graphics just don't cut it. They need the raw power of a dedicated graphics card.
So an F processor is like a blank canvas for PC builders, allowing them to choose the perfect dedicated graphics card for their needs.
Exactly. It gives them maximum flexibility and customization options.
This has been an incredible journey through the world of Intel processors who knew those little letters held so much power.
They're like a secret code that unlocks a deeper understanding of technology. And once you crack that code, you can make more informed decisions about the devices you use every day.
I feel like I've leveled up my tech knowledge today now, before we wrap up this epic deep dive. I want to remind our listeners to head over to Raqmedia.com for the full article that inspired this episode. You'll find even more detail on each letter suffix, along with tons of other great tech content.
And be sure to subscribe to the Raqmedia TechCast on Spotify so you never miss an episode of our deep dives into the fascinating world of tech.
Great reminder now before we sign off. I want to leave our listeners with a final thought. As we've learned today, these seemingly random letters attached to Intel processors aren't random at all. They tell a story about the processor's capabilities, its target audience, and even a bit about Intel's strategy over time.
By understanding these subtle nuances, you're not just buying a device, you're choosing a tool perfectly suited to your needs.
Well said. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of Intel processors. A huge thank you to our scriptwriter, Ezzedine Yahiwi, for crafting such an insightful and engaging script. Don't forget to subscribe to the Raqmedia TechCast on Spotify to stay up to date on the latest tech trends. Until next time, keep exploring the ever-evolving world of technology. Welcome back to the Raqmedia TechCast.
We're in the home stretch now.
We are. I'm excited to wrap up this deep dive into Intel processor letters.
Me too. It's amazing how much information is packed into those little suffixes.
I know, right? It's like a secret code that unlocks a whole new level of understanding about processors.
Absolutely.
Speaking of unlocking secrets, there's one more layer to this puzzle that we haven't fully explored yet, and that's the idea of generations.
Oh yeah, but the big one.
We know that the first digit in a processor's model number often tells you its generation, but I think it would be helpful to break down what that actually means in terms of performance and features.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, each new generation of Intel processors brings a bunch of improvements. It's not just about making them a little bit faster.
Right.
They're actually redesigning the architecture, adding new features, and making them more power efficient.
So it's like a complete overhaul, not just a minor tweak.
Exactly. They're always trying to push the boundaries of what's possible.
That makes sense. Technology is constantly evolving, so processors need to keep up.
Absolutely. For example, a 13th gen Intel Core processor is going to be significantly better than a 10th gen processor, even if they have the same letter suffixes.
Wow. So even if you see two processors with an H at the end, the newer generation chip is still going to have a noticeable advantage.
Yep. Newer is generally better when it comes to processor generations.
This whole concept of generations adds another layer of complexity to Intel's naming system, but it also makes it incredibly sophisticated.
I agree. It's like they've created this incredibly detailed language to communicate all the nuances of their processors.
And once you learn that language, you can make much smarter decisions about the tech you buy.
Exactly. You're not just randomly picking a processor, you're choosing the perfect tool for your specific needs.
Well said. This deep dive has honestly changed the way I look at Intel processors. I used to just focus on the i5 or i7, but now I realize there's so much more to the story.
I'm glad to hear it. It's all about empowering users with knowledge.
Absolutely. Now, before we say goodbye, I want to give our listeners one final challenge. Head over to Raqmedia.com and try to find two processors with the same letter suffix but different generation numbers, then compare their specs and see if you can spot the generational differences.
It's a fun way to test your knowledge and see how those generational improvements translate into real-world performance.
Exactly. And speaking of Raqmedia.com, don't forget to check out the full article that inspired this deep dive. It's packed with even more details about Intel processor letters and a ton other great tech content.
And as always, make sure you're subscribed to the Raqmedia TechCast on Spotify so you never miss an episode.
And I said it better myself. And on that note, I want to thank our listeners for joining us on this epic journey through the world of Intel processors. It's been a blast breaking down those mysterious letters and exploring the fascinating world of CPU technology. A huge shout out to our amazing scriptwriter Ezzedine Yahiwi for crafting such an insightful and engaging script. Don't forget to subscribe to the Raqmedia TechCast on Spotify to stay up to date on all the latest tech trends. Until next time, keep exploring the ever-evolving world of technology.